So I did my presentation on Paqui, so some executive summary. I'll be proposing celebrity endorsement opportunities for Paqui. I'll be giving some background information on the celebrities, why the celebrities would be a good choice to endorse Paqui, and why Paqui can utilize, or how Paqui can utilize the celebrity endorsements to their advantage. So an introduction to Paqui, it's a tortilla chip company and is responsible for the one chip challenge trend on social media, where people just eat one of the chips and it's a very spicy chip, and then they record their reactions afterwards after eating it. They also sell a variety of tortilla chip products. Some of the flavors include fiery chili limon, zesty salsa verde, jalapeno tropicale, and more. Paqui was founded in 2006 and acquired by Skinny Pop in 2015. So the objectives of the endorsement, one of them is to expand Paqui's reach into the sports industry, uh, and try to compete with Mountain Dew and Doritos with their extreme sports and how they're involved within it. Paqui also wants to become more mainstream so that it can compete with the big companies such as Doritos, Lay's, Tostitos, and more. So candidate one for the Paqui endorsement would be former professional football player Rob Gronkowski. He played for the Patriots from 2010 to 2018, and then the Buccaneers from 2020 to 2021. And he's a very charismatic person. He enjoys partying and having a good time, as you can tell from the picture on the right, where he's partying out with Marshmallow and a couple other people. So the brand positioning of Rob Gronkowski and Paqui. Rob Gronkowski is considered one of the greatest tight ends of all time and is a Hall of Fame talent. He has multiple accolades where he ranks first among all tight ends ever. So he definitely is one of the greatest of all time when it comes to being a tight end. Paqui, on the other hand, has a much lower market share than its competitors, Doritos, Lay's, etc. They have a much larger market share, so they're small. Paqui is a smaller company than they are, and they also have a much smaller budget than those competitors. So the brand character for Rob Gronkowski, he's a general party goer. He actually had a pretty popular phrase that went around a couple of years ago, which was "Yo soy fiesta." I believe it was after the Patriots won one of the Super Bowls. So it just displays that he likes to party and he's liked by the younger generation, specifically those that are on social media. They really seem to like him as he just likes to party. And Paqui, it's targeting that younger generation as it's a party chip or like a social media chip that people like to post when they eat it. So it's a real easy connection between the two brands. So the competitive analysis, Will.i.am Doritos kind of did a similar sort of endorsement. Will.i.am's a very charismatic person, and Doritos is a party chip as well. Here's a quick commercial that they did between Doritos and Will.i.am.
Are you ready for the flavor trip, please? I'm going to take you through a flavor journey. In the past, you get one flavor on a chip. Now, you get four notes coming one after the other that take you through this melody in the mouth. So people get around, have a taste. We got melodies all up in your face. Come on.
So it was just the commercial that Will.i.am did with Doritos, and also another similar one would be Katy Perry and Pop Chips. As Katy Perry is just a well-liked individual, and Pop Chips is a competitor of Paqui.
Are you ready?
So the authenticity of this endorsement, I think it would be a very easily believable endorsement, as Rob Gronkowski likes to party, and Paqui is a party chip, so it just seems like it would be a seamless fit. Rob Gronkowski is big on social media. Paqui seems to be like a social media chip that people like to post about when they eat it. So it just seems like it would fit really well together. So the popularity of Rob Gronkowski on Instagram, he has 4.7 million followers, as you can see on from the picture on the right, and and an engagement rate for Instagram of 0.45%. So although not a lot of not that's not a great percentage, but out of 4.7 million, you're still getting hundreds of thousands of people to look at your product or to engage with your product if you were to post about it. And on Twitter, he has 3.2 million as well. Paqui has an annual revenue of 3.2 million. So the target audience for Rob Gronkowski and Paqui, it would be a heavy overlap, as Paqui would be targeting social media savvy individuals and people that are connected to mainstream media, as they want to maybe promote the one chip challenge, and they'd also be want to be targeting the younger generation, which Rob Gronkowski has a big following of. So it's a real heavy overlap between the target audiences. So an activation potential for Rob Gronkowski. Rob could do some social media posts about the Paqui chips. He could maybe do a social media post where he tries the one chip challenge or something similar to that. We could also do social media promotions for Paqui on Paqui's account. But I think just having heavy social media involvement in this promotional material would be really good activation for this endorsement. So candidate number two for endorsement of Paqui would be Shaun White. He's a retired Olympic athlete and considered one of the greatest snowboarders of all time. He won a plethora of medals during his career, and he has a strong social media following. The brand positioning of Shaun White, I'm not going to go over the Paqui one again because I already did for the Gronkowski one. So Shaun White is a top tier athlete in winter sports. He is an 8-time X Game snowboard super pipe gold medal winner. He won 5 slopestyle gold medals and 3 Olympic half pipe gold medals. So he's a very decorated individual. So the brand character of Shaun White, he's a generally reserved individual. He's active. He's an active participant in charity events such as Boys and Girls Club of America, and he participates in charities for St. Jude Children's Hospital as well. So he's a very giving person. The competitive analysis, a similar one would be with Monster Energy and Chloe Kim. As you can see from the photo on screen, Monster Energy just gave Chloe Kim a bunch of merchandise to wear as part of their activation for the endorsement. So the authenticity for Shaun White, it's not easily believable as he's like a cool, calm, and collected individual, while Paqui is sort of like an outgoing brand. Because it's the party chip, it's kind of socialization. Um, but what gives it an advantage is that Shaun White is an extreme sports athlete, so it makes it more believable because it's sort of an extreme chip. So that definitely helps its believability between the endorsement. So the popularity of Shaun White, he has 2.2 million followers on Instagram with an engagement rate of 5%, which is higher than Rob Gronkowski. He also has 1.6 million followers on Twitter, which is pretty good. So the target audience for Shaun White and Paqui, there is potential overlap as Shaun White's following maybe fans of the extreme because he was an extreme sports athlete, and Paqui is an extreme heat chip, so there is potential for overlap there. But there might also not be a ton of overlap because Shaun White is a reserved individual, and he might not bring in as much overlap. So the activation potential, we could use ironic promotional material to promote the endorsement between Shaun White and Paqui as he performs in cold conditions for his snowboarding, and the chip is what heats him up. So he could either do a commercial where he eats the chip after he finishes a half pipe routine or something along those lines, just to create ironic promotional material. Just kind of marketing, as it says, market based on contrast between the cold conditions of White's work and the chip's heat. And then finally, candidate number three would be Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson is a retired boxer, and he's a candidate for the greatest of all time in the boxing industry. He's also had a very successful career post boxing. He has several successful endorsements that he's created or endorsed after his boxing career. So the brand and positioning for Mike Tyson, he's a top tier boxer. He had a 50-6 record while he was boxing, and he was a six-time heavyweight champion. Brand character, Mike Tyson, he's generally considered a badass individual. He also likes to speak his mind, which has gotten him in trouble a couple of times over the years because he doesn't take crap from nobody, and he'll say if he doesn't like somebody, but he's a successful entrepreneur as well. He created Tyson 2.0, which is a cannabis company which sells edibles such as Mike's Bites and stuff like that. It's a very successful company. So the competitive analysis for Mike Tyson, the one that I could find was Evander Holyfield and Coca-Cola. As you can see from the right, it's a little blurry, but Evander Holyfield endorsed Coca-Cola, and they made exclusive bottles and bottle holders with Evander Holyfield stapled on it. So it's just an endorsement that's similar to the one that Paqui would do with Mike Tyson. So the authenticity of Mike Tyson's endorsement of Paqui, it's definitely believable as Mike Tyson is a fiery individual. He's kind of a badass, kind of packs a punch, and Paqui is a spicy chip, so you could definitely see the relationship between the two, as you kind of need to be a badass in order to eat one of these chips and not go crying after you eat it 'cause it's pretty spicy. So the popularity of Mike Tyson, he has 19.5 million followers on Instagram with an engagement rate of 0.64%, which obviously isn't a great engagement percentage, but you have to think with almost 20 million followers, even if the percentage is below 1%, you're still getting a ton of people that are gonna engage the post and potentially buy the product because of the endorsement. And he also has 5.8 million followers on Twitter. So the target audience between Mike Tyson and Paqui, there is not a ton of overlap, as Mike Tyson has been a retired boxer for a little while now. So his following is generally the older generation, but he's kind of like idolized within the younger generation. So he does have a somewhat strong following within the younger generation that Paqui can use to promote its material. And Mike Tyson is a pop culture icon, which helps the overlap between Mike's fans and Paqui's fans, as like everyone knows him. So uh, you're gonna have overlap if everybody knows him. So the activation potential for Mike Tyson, you could utilize his boxing prowess and create like a commercial or a post on Instagram or Twitter where it goes along the line of, well, Tyson packs a punch and so does Pacqui's. Um, just going along those lines, where Mike Tyson has a hard hitting boxing power and Paqui packs a punch with its heat, something along those lines, just using a creative use of words to promote the material. So my final recommendation, I would probably go with Rob Gronkowski as the person who would endorse Paqui would be the best candidate, um, because he's the most well known of the three candidates. He has a very outgoing personality, while like Shaun White, the second candidate, was a very reserved individual. He's also not, Rob Gronkowski is not a controversial individual, or at least probably the least controversial out of the three, with Tyson having bitten the ear of one of his competitors and the statements that Tyson has made in previous years, which might isolate him from certain individuals. I would also say that Rob Gronkowski is the best candidate out of the three because he's the most popular with the target audience of Paqui, of general party goers, and as well as the younger generation of people. So I think that would make him the best candidate out of the three. And that's my presentation. Thanks for listening.